Hello, gorgeous people. Just wanted to jump on and create this little video for you after a few people have asked for it, and it's much easier to do this than it is to do lots of individual ones. So, first of all, my name is Lisa Bowen, and I'd love to introduce you to Elise. And she is my alter ego, and she was created after one of my clients described me as a cross between Mary Poppins and a Jedi knight. And she now accompanies me in all my trainings and all my stuff. So, do you ever feel like you're in a movie without a script? It's very much like that, isn't it? No training manual at all. So let's get started. And although I call them the 3 steps to freedom, they really are 3 steps for life. Seriously, and you'll see why when we go along. So the first step is to identify the energy around a situation. The second step is to acknowledge your role in the situation. And the third step is to change your vibration to match the results that you want. Now, we'll look at each one of these in turn, and you'll be amazed at how much power you already have and how you can use it in an even more productive way. So before we start, I just want to explain a little bit about energy. And you probably already know that everything is energy, it just vibrates at different frequencies. Have you ever walked into a room and felt you could cut the air with a knife? That would be a heavy energy or a low frequency. Likewise, you may have been feeling low when friends call with exciting news and you suddenly feel better. Clearly, that's a light or a high vibration. A simple way to determine an energy is high or low is simply to notice how you feel. If you feel bad, it's low, and if you feel good, it's high. And it's your feelings that will determine how good or bad. So let's have a look at the situation of energy. When someone does something to you that you don't like, what kind of vibration are you in? Pretty low, I reckon. So what happens is this, and this can happen with a high vibration, it can happen on any vibration, but we're going to focus on the low one for now. So what happens is when someone upsets you in some way, you immediately cast out a net of that vibration and catch them in it. Now, try as they might, unless they've mastered their mind, they really have no option but to operate at that frequency with you, because you're also caught in that net. So let's look at this for one moment. Somebody says something that upsets you. Now, they may or may not have intended to hurt you, who knows? Because someone else hurt you in the past by saying something similar, you immediately go back to that pain and lock into that frequency. So the next time you see that person, you just go straight back to that frequency from the past and you expect them to say something nasty again. They sense your vibration and respond accordingly, reinforcing your belief that they are a nasty or a bad person. So your expectations created the reality. Did you know that many years ago, a study was done on school kids where half the class was randomly selected, and the teacher was told that this group were bright students and that the other group would never amount to much. Now, this was not based on any assessment of the children's capability. What happened was the teachers treated the kids as though they were bright or not without realizing what they were doing. Our subconscious mind has got a lot to answer for. Anyway, later on, an assessment was done several years later on the kids, and those who were in the supposedly bright group performed much better than those in the not so bright group. Remember, there was no assessment done on these kids at the beginning. This illustrates how we behave according to expectations. Think of the troublesome kid at school. Once labeled with that expectation, they will live up to it. Now, none of this is happening in the conscious mind. It's going on deep, deep, deep in the subconscious mind. So can you think of a situation where it might be happening in your life? Either you're expecting someone to behave in a certain way or someone's expecting you to behave in a certain way. Think how differently we behave in different situations. So have you ever realized that you're being a bit unfair to your partner, your kids, or your colleague? So you've decided that you're going to be a bit nicer to them. And yet the minute you see them, you fall into your previous way of talking to them. That's because you're still caught up in the energy net you threw out. It can, of course, work the other way. Mum and dad still treat you like their little girl, and within a very short space of time, you're behaving like that surly teenager or goody two-shoes that you once were. So now you know about energy and you've become aware that there's a certain energy around a situation. Your first step is to identify what that energy might be. Just notice whether it makes you feel good or bad. And if you want to check it out on a scale of 1 to 10, feel free. This is the easy step, so just practice this. Think of a situation that isn't what you'd like it to be. This could be your partner, a friend, one or more of your kids, a work colleague, or someone in your social circle. And give it a mark between 1 and 10. 1 being something you can tolerate easily enough, and 10 being so bad you want out. And write this number down for later. Next, think about whether this is a frequency you want to vibrate at or not. What would you like it to be? And you can write this down as well. Now comes the challenging part. Acknowledging what energy you are contributing to the situation is a big responsibility. So let's talk about the role of responsibility here. It's very easy to say that they started it, blah, blah, blah. However, that leaves everyone in a disempowered state. You are definitely not in control of the situation, which means that you are being controlled by someone else. Let me say that again. You are being controlled by someone else. How does that feel? You are at the mercy of someone else. And I don't know about you, but I certainly don't like feeling like that. When we take ownership or responsibility of our role in a situation, who is now in control? You got it. Yet we now hold the power, which of course is very empowering. And a word of caution here, abusing power will come back and bite you on the bum. So the difference between being powerful and empowered, we can have powerful people that are not empowered, but they're in a position of power. Let me put it this way. Disempowered people disempower people, while empowered people empower people. So you can look at people in a position of power and you can see whether they're empowered or disempowered just by the way they're treating other people. So if you are disempowering someone by treating them badly, putting them down, etc., look at how you could empower yourself. So let's go back to your situation that you looked at a few minutes ago when you cast out that energy net. Take a couple of deep breaths. And now ask yourself honestly where you might be contributing to this situation. Not easy, I know. So think about the energy net. How are you expecting this person to behave? Remember that your energy will cause them to vibrate at the same frequency. So if yours is heavy, they'll respond in the same way. No wins here. They are highly unlikely to change until you do. Oh, why is it always up to me to make the effort, I hear you say? Well, in most cases, it's us that wants a different result. Your partner, colleague, whatever, will tolerate things because that's the easiest option. Likewise, the kids. If we want a different result, we have to be the ones to do something differently. Trust me, it's worth it. Remember the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result? Okay, so how do we change? Who wants to lag on them? Yay, we're going to lag on them. Yep, lag. Only this time, you're going to write down 5 things that you like, appreciate, or are grateful for. One of my clients christened it lagging, and I kind of like it. So calm down, calm down. I know you can't even think of one thing, let alone 5 good things that you like, appreciate, or grateful for. And you only have to write 5. You don't have to write 5 for each. Now, like, appreciate, and grateful for are all on a similar vibration. Okay, now, I don't know about you, I can appreciate the lessons that the universe gives me from time to time, but I don't always like them. So sometimes we can appreciate something, or we can be like something, or we can be grateful for. So you're just going to find 5 things. So let me explain why this is so powerful. We've already discussed how we have cast an energy net over people. So look at it this way. Nothing has meaning until we give it meaning. Yep, that's right. Nothing has meaning until we give it meaning. Everything is neutral, and we attach meaning to it based on our past experiences, or even worse, somebody else's past experiences. When something happens, our subconscious mind goes into overdrive, looking for something similar to relate it to. It's actually trying to determine if you're safe or not. So we'll pick out a past event that closely relates to it. Now, every decision we ever make is based on past experience, which may or may not be relevant now. Everything just is, totally neutral. However, once we've labeled it good or bad, we put it in the good box over here or the bad box over here. So what will you find in the good box? You're going to find good. What are you going to find in the bad box? You're going to find bad. So at the moment, the problem we've got is, as you can see, they are in opposite directions. So we can only see one or the other at a time. So we're looking in the bad box because somebody's upset us. What are you going to find? Well, 2 things are at play here. One is the energy net, so you're only going to find bad energy. And the other is your ego, which needs to be right. So you'll keep looking until you can justify your expectations. I knew it. I knew you were right. I knew they were a bad person. They always do that. Now, thanks to the universal law of polarity, for every bad thing you find, there has to be the opposite good to the same degree. You can't have up without down. You can't have in without out. So there has to be the opposite. So once you've taken responsibility to change, then you can trundle over to the good box. Oh, we've disappeared. We can trundle over to the good box and start looking in there. Now, remember, the worse it seems to be on the bad box, the better the option in the good box. Now, I like to say that every situation has a gift in it. However, we usually don't bother unwrapping it because we don't like the wrapping paper it comes in. So this is where lagging comes in. The more good things you look for, the more you'll start to find. Remember, the ego needs to be right. So if you've decided that something is good, your ego is going to start looking for good things. Now, something I want you to realize here, that this is not about the person. So they may genuinely have done something bad. This is not about them. This is setting you free. Yes, you. Okay, so let's come back to our lagging. So you're going to write 5 things that you like, appreciate, or grateful for about this person or this situation. Yes, I know it's hard. You're going to have to dig deep. Perhaps going back to a time when things were better, or perhaps how they are with someone else. It could simply be that you like what they're wearing or their hairstyle, or maybe they did something that made your life or job a little bit easier. It really doesn't matter. We're looking for just the very simple good things. Now, you're going to do this every day. In the first few days, you'll probably have the same 5 things, and that's okay because you're starting to look for good things. So slowly, you'll start to find them. And after a while, this person will no longer have any control over you. They won't trigger you at all. Now, this is because when you cut yourself free of that energy net, you can immediately go to a different vibration. Now, 2 things happen here. One is that you're now on a different vibration, so it really doesn't matter what they do. And the other is that you've actually also set them free so they can change, because when they're in that energy net, they can't change even if they want to. Still with me? All right. So you've got the three steps. Oh, there we are. We've got our 3 steps. Ooh, who's busy girl today? So we're going to identify, acknowledge, and change. So once you've done this, and it takes time, be gentle with yourself, okay? It takes time. You do have to do it. You can't just do it once. Well, occasionally you can, but usually we need to do this a few times. Now, the other thing you can do is you can do this on yourself. Oh, yes, this is a really powerful exercise to do on yourself. So now that you've got the 3 steps, the good news is that there's a bonus step. You can put the icing on the cake with a cherry on top if you like. You up for it? It's an even bigger challenge, but I know you're up for it. So once you've done that, you're going to send them some love. Yep, that's right. You are going to send them some love. Ah! Yes, I know you can't do that. Ah. Do you know why you can't send them any love? It's because you're running on empty. You have not got enough love. And you sure as heck aren't going to waste it on somebody you don't even like. So what to do? Fill your heart so full that it overflows, and then they get the overspill. When we are full of love, we don't care who gets it. Seriously, we don't care who gets it. So we just overflow, and we can flood them with love, whether they want it or not. So how to get to that point? Take a couple of deep breaths and recall a memory that felt like your heart was going to burst. Could be when you first held your new baby, you held a puppy or a kitten, when you fell in love, something that was just so squishy, delicious, that you just was so full of love that you just wanted to explode. Now allow those feelings, those emotions to fill you up, and really bring those feelings into every cell of your body. Just sit there for a few minutes and magnify them so that you are completely overflowing with love. So the beautiful thing about this is they're going to get flooded with your love whether whether they want it or not. But if you're really struggling with sending them love, just make sure you're full of love, grab a handful of it, universal love, and throw it at them like a snowball. Yeah, it's love. You don't have to own it. Just send them love. And let's face it, if they're being miserable, they're disempowered, they could do with a bit of love. Now, the real beneficiary here is you, because now you get your tank filled up. People used to ask me if I got exhausted or drained when doing healing on my clients, and my answer was always the same. The energy comes through me first, so my clients get it secondhand. And that's exactly what's happening here. You're getting all the good stuff first, and they get the overflow. So what if you really don't want a better relationship with this person? Well, first of all, you have to decide if you're happy having them controlling your feelings. And if you are, great. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just don't complain about it either. Being a victim can be a really comfortable place. And as long as you realize that it's your choice, because it is, that's okay. My sense is that you're over being a victim, which is why you're here. So even if you don't particularly want a closer relationship with this person, lagging on them will put you back in control where you belong. If you're in a relationship and you're really not sure you want to continue, do it anyway. This will mean that the separation is much more pleasant and certainly less acrimonious. This is a really powerful exercise to do with your ex, particularly if you have kids together and need to maintain some sort of communication. So let's just recap. Oh, we'll go back to that. Sorry, let's just go in the right direction. Okay, so just to recap, 3 steps to freedom: identify your role in the situation, acknowledge your role in the situation, or sorry, identify the energy in the situation, acknowledge your role in the situation, and then change your energy. And then if you want to, you simply, very simply, just put a cherry on the top and send them love. So that's pretty much it for this little thing. Feel free to reach out if you'd like to do some more work with me. And I'm really excited to just be able to help change the world in a generation, starting with you, because if you shift your energy, the world is going to shift theirs. So once again, this is Lisa Bowen from Elise Therapies. Thank you very much, and take care and stay special, and I'll speak to you soon.